Well, hello there. If you are watching this video, you have been selected to judge at a HUDL tournament. Your job is incredibly important and supports our mission of bringing debate to Houston's youth. This video will provide you with everything you need to know before judging at your first debate tournament. My name is Mark Niles, and I'm the director of the Houston Urban Debate League, and I'm excited to go through this presentation with you today. I'm also joined by Deputy Director John Rossenfoss, whose voice you will hear now.
Hey y'all, it's me, John.
In addition to judging debate rounds, you have an important job to make sure students feel welcome. Many times students will be at their first debate tournament. They may be nervous about speaking in front of people, so please be encouraging and try to provide a positive experience for the debaters. The debate round should be a safe space where students feel comfortable. Under most circumstances, you should not interject yourself into the arguments that are being made in the debate. The students will do most of the talking. Avoid prompting speakers during the middle of a speech, but encourage students to give every speech they are scheduled to and to fill out their allotted times. One of your primary roles as a judge is timing the rounds, and each format will have different timings.
Debate is an academic competition where students are asked to compete in a clash of ideas. Debaters explore and research major world issues outside of their normal classroom work. The debaters will be asked to defend one side of a debate topic. One team will present arguments in support of the topic, while the other team will argue against the topic. Your job as a judge is to observe the debaters during the round. Take notes of the arguments you hear. This is called flowing. At the end of the round, you will fill out a ballot and decide which team did a better job of defending their side of the topic. If you have any predispositions on a topic the students are debating, please try to leave your opinions at the door and allow the debaters to sway you one way or another. Remember, this is an academic game. Students must be prepared to debate both sides of their topic throughout the day.
Also, please remember that it is the student's job in the debate to convince you that they are right or wrong. They can do this with evidence, clever questioning of opponents, or logical argumentation. If you are new to judging, please let the debaters know. This should clue debaters into the fact that you may not be as familiar with the topics being debated as they are, and they should adapt their argumentation and presentation appropriately. It is their job to adapt to you. It is your job to let them know what to expect and to give each side a fair hearing in the debate round.
Now, let's talk a little bit about flowing. Flowing is the debate term for the general note-taking technique used to keep track of what arguments are made during a round. Judges should keep track of when an argument is made and how they are responded to. Although there are some best practices as far as flowing is concerned, everyone does it a little differently and will develop their own style over time. Many judges flow on paper, while others use a computer. Some judges use lots of paper with a different sheet for each argument, while others flow the entire debate on one sheet. If you use paper, legal size or larger is recommended to give you more room to write. Developing a shorthand for taking notes quickly is recommended. For example, instead of writing the word increase, you can simply draw an arrow pointing up. You may also want to try the flowing method of creating a column on a piece of paper for each speech. This is what's used in the example you are currently viewing. This helps you track when an argument is made, and you can use arrows and lines to show how the argument is responded to and developed throughout the debate. If you are a new judge, don't stress out too much about flowing at first. Just do your best and try to get a little bit better each time.
No matter what format you are judging, you will be filling out a ballot to provide feedback to the debaters and to indicate the winner of the round. Depending on the tournament you are judging at, you could either be asked to fill out a paper ballot or a digital ballot. On the left, you will see an example of a paper ballot, and on the right, you will see an example of a digital ballot. Both are very similar. You should take your time to completely fill out the ballot and to provide useful and constructive feedback. At the top of the ballot, you will see a section with the student names. You will rank each student and you will give them speaker points. More about this shortly. The next section is where you indicate which team won the round. Obviously, you don't want to fill out this section until the end of the debate. Most of your time completing the ballot should be spent on providing comments for the debaters on what they did well and how to improve. Your comments will be used by the debaters and their coaches after the tournament for educational purposes. Please keep this in mind when you write your comments. When providing feedback, you should be very specific and reference arguments that were brought up during the round and discuss how they were handled. At the bottom of the ballot, you will provide a reason for decision, also called an RFD. This is considered the most important part of the ballot by many people. Use this section to clearly describe why you made the decision of who won the round. Be very precise with your words here. For tournaments using digital ballots, we may ask you to submit your RFD to us before your comments are complete. In this case, you will submit your RFD and speaker points to us, but are free to enter your comments at any other point during the tournament. Now let's take a closer look at assigning ranks. Each debater should be ranked in order. The best debater gets the rank of 1, the next best debater gets the rank of 2, and so on and so forth. Keep in mind there can be no ties for ranks. In the example here, you see there are 4 debaters, so we have 4 ranks, 1 through 4. In world schools, however, there are 6 debaters, so you would need the ranks 1 through 6. That covers it for ranks, so now we're going to take a look at speaker points. When it comes to assigning speaker points, some of the main things you should consider are a debater's argumentation, skills at refuting their opponent's claims, their organization, and presentation skills. Speaker points can range from 25 on the low end to 30 on the high end, and unlike ranks, you can have ties for speaker points. Feel free to use the speaker point rubric that you see here on the screen when assigning speaker points. This can also be found in the judge handout that is provided at tournaments. Try avoid giving really low speaker points. I'm talking about the number 25 here. Even if a debater didn't have the best performance, we want to encourage them to come back, and being a little bit generous with speaker points can help out with that. Okay, now that we have looked at judging basics and how to fill out a ballot, we are going to spend some time going through the formats one by one. I would still recommend that you read any judging handouts you receive from the tournament director in addition to watching this video.
In HUDL, we have 4 main debate formats. Each debate format is a little different and has its own unique quirks. We will cover each format in more detail in a moment, but first, take a few seconds to review this table to see how the formats differ in the number of team members and how often the topics change. Pause the video here if you want to read through the slide in more detail.
We will start with cross-examination debate, also known as CX or policy debate. This format focuses on a single debate topic each year, and students compete as a team of 2. Each round, debaters will be randomly chosen to debate either as the affirmative team or as the negative team. Each debater will follow the same order of speeches. Every debater will be given 2 speeches, a constructive and a rebuttal. Policy debate follows the 8-3-5 format. Each constructive speech is 8 minutes long. This is where debaters should present their major arguments in the debate. A constructive speech is followed by a 3-minute cross-examination where the opposing team is allowed to ask the speaker questions about the arguments presented during their speech. After the constructive speeches comes the rebuttals. Each rebuttal is 5 minutes long and gives the debater the chance to focus their arguments on the most important reasons to vote for their team. Debaters will also have a set amount of preparation time to share as a team. Debaters can use prep time before any speech, but when their preparation time has elapsed, they must begin speaking. Each speech has a name based on which debater gives the speech and what type of speech it is. The debate proceeds in this order. Now let's take a look at the roles each team plays in CX debate. First, the affirmative. The affirmative team will present a plan that addresses the 5 stock issues. The plan should be topical, which means falling under the current debate resolution. Harms and problems happening in the current system, called the status quo, along with the significance of these harms, should be addressed. Finally, the affirmative should demonstrate how their plan solves for the harms in the status quo. Now let's move on to the negative. The negative team will be tasked with arguing why the affirmative's plan is not a good idea. The negative can make the case that the plan isn't needed, that it isn't topical, or that the harms brought up by the affirmative team aren't that big a deal. The negative can also try to prove that the affirmative doesn't have any solvency, which means their plan doesn't fix the harms. Negative teams can also present a counterplan and argue that it does a better job of solving the harms that the affirmative plan brought up. Disadvantages, which are problems caused by the affirmative's plan, are also common arguments brought up by the negative. In cross-examination debate, the burden of proof lies with the affirmative. They must prove that their plan needs to happen. If the affirmative convinces you their plan is needed, then you should vote affirmative. If the negative team made you believe the affirmative case wasn't needed or it was a bad idea, then you should vote negative. The second thing to consider is the burden of rebuttal. This is a burden that applies equally to both teams. It holds that if one team makes an argument, then the other team has an obligation to answer that argument. This principle encourages the students to engage with each other and clash over the issues in the debate instead of listing off random facts or observations. Looking at your notes and seeing how the teams responded to each other's arguments will help you as a judge decide which team did a better job with the burden of rebuttal. Use these burdens to help you interpret if the affirmative team convinces you that the plan is a good idea. Now that we have covered cross-examination debate, we are going to move on to World Schools, which is the next format we're going to cover. World Schools debate, also called Worlds, is a unique and dynamic form of debate. Worlds combines both prepared topics that students receive well before the tournament and impromptu topics that students receive during the event. For impromptu topics, students can only use a dictionary, almanac, or encyclopedia, and they have a limited amount of time to prepare. A Worlds team is comprised of 3 to 5 people who prepare together. However, only 3 members can speak in any given debate. This highly interactive style of debate allows debaters to engage each other, even during speeches, using something called points of information, also called POIs. Between the first and last minute of the constructive speeches, members of the other team may offer POIs. The purpose of a POI is to make a short point or to ask a short question to the speaker. A POI should be very brief, no longer than about 15 seconds. The speaker has the absolute right to refuse or accept a point of information. However, a speaker is obliged to accept some POIs, provided that they have been offered at reasonable times in the speaker's speech. In World Schools, the team debating in favor of the topic is called the proposition, or prop for short. The team debating against the topic is called the opposition, or op for short. Although evidence in Worlds is important, like in all debate formats, World Schools debaters should focus on quality over quantity, developing 2 to 3 arguments with multiple examples, perspectives from a wide variety of stakeholders, and plenty of logical analysis in the debater's own words will go much farther than presenting many shallow arguments. Judges in World Schools can come from a wide variety of backgrounds, and debaters should be prepared to debate in front of a general audience. Overall, the proposition's job in the debate is responsible for making their case to prove that the topic being debated is true. The opposition, which opposes the topic, has the job of poking holes in the prop's case and proving that in general, the topic at hand is false more often than not. Proposition teams will start most debates by giving a short analysis or framework of the topic and outlining what the important things in the debate should be. Then, the first prop speaker will outline the arguments that will be presented throughout the round and deliver the first few arguments. Opposition teams will start in a similar fashion. The first opposition speaker will challenge the prop's framework before outlining and delivering some of their side's main arguments. The first op speaker may also choose to start arguing against the points brought up by the first proposition speaker. After the first speeches, both teams will start offering rebuttals in addition to strengthening their previous speaker's points and adding new arguments. At the end of the debate, we come to the reply speeches. The reply speeches must be delivered by either the first or second speaker of a team. It cannot be delivered by the same person that delivered the third speech. Both of these speeches are 4 minutes in length, as opposed to the 8 minutes like all the other speeches in the debate, and no POIs can be offered during them. Reply speeches should provide a high-level explanation of why the judge should vote a certain way. When it comes to picking a winner in worlds, the proposition should prove that the topic is true. The prop doesn't have to make you believe this beyond a reasonable doubt. However, as long as they can make you believe the resolution is true most of the time, you should probably vote for them. The opposition, on the other hand, has a similar burden of proving that the resolution is not true in the majority of circumstances. You can also take POIs into account when making your decision. It is bad practice for a speaker to reject all points. It is also bad practice for the speaker to accept all points. In most cases, speakers should try and accept 2 POIs during their speeches. Teams and speakers that offer an acceptable number of POIs can be rewarded. However, continuous offering of POIs by a team at an excessive level is considered bad form. When a round is very close and you are having trouble deciding who the winner is, POIs could become the deciding factor in that round. When evaluating teams and individual debaters, you can also think about their content, their style, and their strategy. Content refers to the quality of the evidence, arguments, and examples used during the round. Style refers to the general delivery and public speaking skills of the debaters. And strategy refers to how skillful the debaters were at coming up with unique and smart ways of winning the round.
In public forum, there are 2 teams, the pro team that debates in favor of the resolution and the con team that debates against the resolution. Public forum should be accessible to any audience and any type of judge. Public forum is very unique. Unlike other debate formats, the team that starts the round is not set in stone. It is determined by a coin flip that happens at the very beginning of the round. The team that wins the flip gets to either choose what side of the debate they will be on, pro or con, or if their team will speak first or second. The team that loses the flip will decide their preference from the option not selected by the winner. For example, if the team that wins the flip decides they will debate as the pro team, the team that lost the flip gets to decide if they are going first or second. Here's another example. If the winning team decides to speak second, then the losing team may decide which side, pro or con, they will argue. The questioning periods in public forum are called crossfire. During these periods, the debaters that just spoke have an opportunity to question each other in a back and forth manner. According to the National Speech and Debate Association, the teams in public forum should focus on advocacy of a position derived from issues presented in the resolution and not a prescribed set of burdens, a plan, or value framework. Both teams need to use clear communication, and since the speaking times are not that long and speed is discouraged, debaters should really focus on developing a few important arguments. Logical reasoning and effective communication are key to winning in PF. Debaters should use quoted evidence and examples. However, this should be secondary to the debater's argumentation. So how do you decide who wins in public forum? Well, it's actually pretty simple. In public forum, teams should strive to provide a straightforward perspective on the resolution. Judges should discount unfair interpretations of the topic. At the end of a round of public forum debate, judges should ask themselves the following questions. If I knew nothing about this resolution before judging the debate, would I be more likely to believe the resolution was true or false? If you are convinced the resolution is true after hearing the debate, you should probably vote pro. If you believe the resolution is false, you should probably vote con. In addition to thinking about these questions, judges should also weigh the arguments from both teams by comparing the impact of adopting the resolution versus not adopting it. Also, if judges are unable to understand a debater because of excessive speed, they don't have to evaluate those arguments, although judges should let the debaters know before the round of their preferences regarding speed. Lincoln-Douglas debate, or LD, is a 1v1 format of debate that covers philosophical questions or moral issues. The first affirmative constructed speech lasts 6 minutes and is where the affirmative establishes a framework for evaluating the resolution by stating the resolution, stating its value for the round, and key definitions from the resolution important to their case. They will then proceed to establish their contentions for upholding the resolution. Following the first affirmative constructive is the first round of CX, which lasts 3 minutes. During the first cross-examination, the neg debater will pick apart the aft case through systematic questioning meant to expose the flaws in aft's case. After the first round of CX is the first negative constructed speech, which is 7 minutes long. The negative debater will similarly open their constructed case by establishing their side's value and any definitions they feel are necessary for establishing their case. They will then bring in their own contentions that support their case. After they have established their case, they will then proceed to attack their opponent's case based on their CX questioning and the aft constructed case. Some debaters might want to switch the order of their constructed speech so that they attack their opponent's case first and establish their case second. This shouldn't have any bearing on your judgment of the round. After the neg's first constructed speech is the second round of CX, which is 3 minutes long. The second cross-examination follows the same format as the first, except that the affirmative debater questions the negative debater. Followed by the second round of CX is the first affirmative rebuttal, which lasts for 4 minutes. The affirmative may now restate their case and attack the neg's case. No new arguments may be introduced, however, new evidence may be used so long as it doesn't introduce a new argument. After the first affirmative rebuttal is the first negative rebuttal, which lasts for 6 minutes. The negative debater's final speech is used to once more attack aft's case, as well as defend their case against the aft's attacks. Neg will close their rebuttal speech by summarizing their key points in what is known as voters in order to urge the judge to vote in favor of the negative. The second affirmative rebuttal is the final speech of the round and lasts 3 minutes. The aft will provide a final defense of its case, summarizing its main points, and urge the judge to vote affirmative. The affirmative side in LD simply agrees with the resolution as stated. They must provide a logical value or lens through which to evaluate the resolution. A value is a big idea related to the topic of the resolution, and some common values include equality, life, quality of life, justice, happiness, rule of law, morality, etc. The value should relate to the resolution in an obvious way and should be explained by the aft debater before they begin their arguments. Their 2 to 3 arguments or contentions should be related to the resolution and be backed up by evidence and contain a sensible explanation for the real-world effects of their arguments. During their rebuttal speeches, the aft should restate their case, answer neg's attacks on their case, and summarize the round for the judge and why they have won the debate during what is known as voters. The negative side in LD must also apply a value to the resolution that logically relates to the resolution and to their case. Neg may have the same or a different value than the aft, though in the case that it is the same, we'll need to find a different criterion through which to examine the resolution. For example, if both sides use morality as a value, their views on morality should be differently expressed in the round. The neg will begin their case either by attacking the aft's arguments or stating its case. Since the neg is the second speaker, they will need to use their first constructed speech to attack aft's case as well as bring up their own arguments. During the rebuttal, neg must use their time to attack the aft case as well as defend their case. They should close their second speech by summarizing the round in their favor to the judge during the voters' phase. In general, the debater that makes the more logical argument start to finish is the winner. Speaking style is not a consideration when deciding the outcome of an LD round. With 2 evenly positioned teams, the following criteria can help determine a round's victor. Number 1, the team that better summarizes why it won the round. Number 2, the team that proves conclusively that its value better upholds the resolution. Number 3, in the case of 2 identical values, the side that has the better criteria for evaluating that value. And number 4, the team that drops or fails to address fewer of the other side's arguments.
Before we conclude this judges training, we want to take a moment to address appropriate communication with students. This information is very important, so please follow along as we will read exactly what you see on this video. HISD and other school districts are taking serious action against any inappropriate online behavior between adults and children. HUDL is very serious about providing a safe and secure environment for debate, and if we cannot provide that environment, then we cannot have debate. Please limit your communication with students to matters regarding the debate round, such as resolving technical issues, offering feedback, judging preferences, and signaling when ready.
As far as data security is concerned at both in-person and online events, please do not share information about the debate rounds with anyone except tournament staff as necessary. For online events, do not record or live stream rounds of debate. Volunteers do not have permission to record students. Please do not share invitation links to online events with anyone. Only approved users should access the tournament. Please do not share the results of a round with the debaters. At online tournaments, please only make use of the judges' lounge and competition rooms of rounds you are judging. Thank you.